Alright guys, today's lesson is on finding and estimating square roots. The number a is the square root of b if a squared equals b. So we know that 4 is the square root of 16 because 4 squared equals 16. Negative 4 squared is also 16. So the square root of 16 is equal to 4, and square root of 16 is also equal to negative 4. Because if you take either of these two numbers and square them, they are the square root. What is the square root of 25? Well, we know that 5 squared equals 25, and also negative 5 squared equals 25. So going backwards, the square root of 25 is either positive 5 or square root of 25 is equal to negative 5. Now there's 3 different ways that we can ask for a square root. We can just ask for the principal, which is the positive version of the square root, like the square root of 25 was 5. Or we can also ask for the negative square root. In this case, square root of 25 is negative 5, or we can ask for both, the positive and the negative version. Now the square root of 64, going back to what I just showed you, it doesn't specify which, so that means that it's the principal square root, which is the positive version. Positive version of the square root of 64 is 8. Now they specify that we want the negative version of the square root of 100, and that equals 10. So we're getting negative 10. Now with this, the cool thing about when we're taking square root of fractions is that it's equal to the square root of the top number divided by the square root of the bottom number. Now the square root of 9 is 3. Square root of 16 is 4. So we can get the positive 3/4, or it's a negative 3/4. You can also write it as just positive negative 3/4, and you're done. Positive negative version of square root of 0, well 0 times 0 is 0, so that equals positive or negative 0. And then the square root of negative 16, if you try taking the square root of a negative number, it does not exist, so non-applicable. Rational numbers can be turned into fractions or just whole numbers over 1. They can be a terminating decimal or repeating decimal. Irrational numbers are all other numbers that do not fit under the rationals.
Following students have items to pick up in the office: Taylor Walcott, Jalen Carruthers, Lauren Clevenger, Maddie Moore, Taylor Zittle, Michaela Zittle, Trace Kirchberg. To the office, please.
Okay, so I'm going to try and finish these last couple. Positive negative square root of 81, that equals positive negative 9. Now, if I want to find the square root of 144 or 1.44, I go square root 1.44 equals, or actually 1.44 square root equals 1.2. But I'm asking for the negative version of that. And then the square root of 5, going back to my calculator. So I'm going to clear this. 5 square roots, 2.236. This does not repeat this decimal, so it is an irrational number. And don't mind the guys outside my room. So these were rational because they were ending with whole numbers or just plain decimals. This one would be irrational because it was this number 2.23606, and it's a non-ending decimal. With this one, the square root of 4/9, that's the same thing as square root of 4 divided by the square root of 9. Square root of 4 is 2, square root of 9 is 3. This ends as a rational number because it is a fraction. And then last, square root of 1 over 3. Well, I'll just see what that equals. 1/3. 1 divided by 3 equals 0.333. Take the square root of that. I get 0.577, and it doesn't repeat. It's not a repeating decimal. Knock it off. Perfect squares are squares of integers. So 1 squared equals 1. 2 squared equals 4. 3 squared is 9. 4 squared, 16. 5 squared is 25. 6 squared is 36. And 7 squared is 49. Between what two consecutive integers is square root of 14.52? Let's check it. See what it equals. It's 3.8, so it's between 3 and 4. So our number, which is between 3 and 4. Find d if x equals 12. So the distance is equal to this. So what we're going to do is plug in 12 for x. We have the square root of 12 plus 2 times 12 squared. 12 squared is 144. 2 times 12 is 24 squared. And 24 squared is 576. So we have 144 plus 576. I'll see what that equals and take the square root of it. Square root of that is 26.83. And that's all for this lesson.